to another episode of Colorful Cooking. My name is Dr. Olivia Moses, and thank you for joining me to have a little bit of fun for a few minutes with color. So today what we're going to do is we're going to cook another salad or chop another salad that incorporates all of the colors of the rainbow. You see my beautiful picture, or it's not a picture, it's a beautiful bowl of wonderful colors here. And the idea for our show here is to use all the colors of the rainbow in one dish or bowl and get it on the plate. Because when we have more colors on our plate, we have a more healthy body. So with this, let's get started. We are going to actually be putting some interesting ingredients in this salad, and the one that I'm going to kind of feature today are chickpeas. Now, if we can think about our chickpea, you might think, what is that? And then you hear the word garbanzo bean. Well, garbanzo beans and chickpeas are exactly the same thing, okay? They're used interchangeably, different names for the same thing. Why do we like chickpeas or garbanzo beans? Well, they're good for us. They are a good source of zinc, folate, protein, and fiber. Now, if you ever have seen a chickpea, you're like, how does this grow and what does this look like? Well, it is actually a pulse. Have you heard of pulses, and maybe in the same conversation with lentils? So if we look at what the definition of pulses actually are. The term pulse, as used by the Food and Agricultural Organization, is reserved for crops harvested solely for the dry seed. So if we look at what a garbanzo or chickpea actually looks like when it is on the plant, we can see this picture right here. With this picture, it is a picture of the pod. Now, the plant, you're like, well, this doesn't look like a chickpea. Well, the chickpea is actually inside this very pod. So if we go to the next picture here, if you can see, there's a little chickpea inside each of these pods. And sometimes you have two chickpeas or garbanzo beans in the pod. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a salad, or a rainbow salad, or a chickpea rainbow salad today as our colorful cooking meal of the day. But I want to show you a little bit of our garbanzo beans. Now, with these garbanzo beans, you can get them dried or in a bag when they need to be soaked so they're hard, or you can get them in the can. So if you get them dry or hard, you want to soak them in water, or you can actually boil them, and you'll get a chickpea that looks kind of like this. There are different kinds of chickpeas out there, but these ones are probably the average everyday ones that we can get in our local grocery stores. So this is kind of going to be a little bit of the star of the plate today, because we don't really think about chickpeas when we think about making salads. Now today all I did was I used canned chickpeas, and you can get the low sodium canned chickpeas, which is probably the best idea. So I also did a step further, and I drained and I rinsed them out. So drained and rinsed chickpeas right here. The best method, and also the cheapest method, is to get them the hard kind, and then you soak them, and then they're ready to go. Okay, so that's our chickpeas. So let's go to our recipe. And so get your pens and papers, and we're going to be popping this recipe up several times so you have time to write and make this at home for your family, or even as an individual at your house. So the first ingredient we're going to actually use is garlic. So we are going to get some garlic cloves in here. Now, if garlic is one of those spicy ingredients that is maybe too strong for you, again, with all the recipes that we're doing here, I'm only giving you ingredients and not actual amounts. So I'm going to probably use 3 cloves of garlic in this particular recipe. Let's see what that looks like. And have you ever tried to peel garlic like this? Put this aside, and you take it right off the clove, and you try to peel it with your fingernail, and then it gets hard. The best thing to do is actually, you can use your knife, but I get kind of scared, to smash the garlic with the knife in case I cut myself. I think if you saw our last episode, you saw that I broke a spoon, and that's what I use at home. So we're going to cook like we do at my house. We're going to just break it. Now, with this, you can smash your garlic, and probably the best method and probably the proper way is to actually use a mortar and pestle, which actually works better than my little spoon here probably. But it works for me, and I put it in the dishwasher, and it's clean and ready to go. So when you smash garlic like that, it comes in pieces and the outside skin comes right off. So there you have it. Quick and easy way to peel your garlic. Now again, with this recipe, you can use minced garlic that you get in a jar at your grocery store, but fresh ingredients are always the best. And they're actually sometimes cheaper than getting a whole jar, and you can use the fresh ingredients, which always packs a wonderful punch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm chopping this really, really fine, and the reason why I'm chopping it so fine is because I don't want anybody to get a big mouthful of garlic, because that's not too fun. And if, you know, we have some people who can't really take a whole lot of spiciness, getting really fine chopped garlic into the bowl is a good idea. Okay, so that's pretty much chopped fairly fine, and I'm going to throw that in the bowl. Now, a lot of people, when they're making a salad, they'll mix their salad dressings in a separate bowl and then drizzle it on top of the salad they already made. Now, that works fine too, but with me, the least amount of dishes I have to wash at the end of making some food is the best thing for me. So what I do is I will make the dressing in the bowl and then toss it, so that actually minuses one of the bowls that you would have used used to clean at the end of doing this. So if we go to the recipe, we have garlic, and then the next thing we have lemon juice. Now lemon juice, again, we're colorful cooking today, so lemon can actually be our yellow, but we're going to be using a bell pepper. We're going to squeeze this fresh lemon. Now when you get citrus like this, it's either lemon or lime, and you don't ever want to, if you're trying to juice it, you don't want to kind of just cut it and try to juice it if it's not soft already. So if it's not soft, a really good way to prep your lime or your lemon is to actually roll it on the counter or roll it on the cutting board. This is kind of a fun little thing for kids to do too, and that's not using a knife. So you get it soft, and you actually feel it soften up as you roll it on your cutting board. So now what we're going to do, we're going to cut this in half, and we're actually going to take some of the seeds out of it that we can see. And I'm going to actually use this whole lemon, because we're going to make a fairly big salad here, okay? So I'm going to actually squeeze the lemon juice right on the garlic. Okay, and have that incorporate. Now what I usually do is I make the dressings at the beginning of making the salad, and the reason why I do that, because I want all of the flavors of the dressing to marinate together. Okay, so I'm going to throw a lot of juice in here. Okay, now there, that's the lemon. Now going to the recipe again, we have garlic, we have lemon juice, and the next thing is something that maybe some of you might be a little bit shy of, are chilies. Okay, now we are going to do a serrano chili for this particular recipe. This is a fairly big one, so if you're scared, again, omit this ingredient altogether. Okay, omit it altogether. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice it lengthwise, and if you look at this, you can see the spine of the chili, and you can see the seeds. And so what I want is, I only want the outside, and I want to get rid of all of this. So a good way to do this could be to take a spoon and kind of core it out. Since I have my favorite knife with me again today, I am going to just kind of take all of this out. See, it comes right out, okay? And we're going to kind of scrape it all out. Okay, since this is such a big chili, I'm going to use one of them. Now, isn't it interesting with chilies, if you eat hot food out there, all of my viewers who eat hot food, I am a lover of hot food. However, these kinds of chilies you can buy, and some of them are not hot at all. And then some of them, oh, you have like a fire in your mouth. So again, if you are kind of shy about this, or you want to make sure you put the right amount of chili in there, it might be a good idea to actually taste it before you put it in the dressing, because you don't want to completely overpower the whole thing with hot, and then none of your guests or yourself can actually eat it. So I'm going to actually chop this really fine, because, oh, and I can already tell this is going to be a hot chili, because this smells very strong. So I'm going to chop it up really fine. And I am going to put half of that chili down, and I'm actually going to use half of it because I can smell it already. And I'm going to dump that right into the lemon juice. Okay, put a little bit more in there, and I'm going to dump it into the lemon juice. Okay, now our recipe calls for garlic. It calls for lemon juice, serrano pepper, and here's an ingredient that you might not always use, and it is apple cider vinegar. Okay, apple cider vinegar. Now we put the lemon juice in there, so that's going to have a tart flavor. Now, apple cider vinegar is also tart, so you want to be careful that you don't make this thing too tart, but I'm going to throw some in there, and that's going to give another flavorful punch in there. Okay, so apple cider vinegar, and the next ingredient is going to be our olive oil. Now, here's a little kind of word to the wise when it comes to olive oil used in dressings. Olive oil in dressings are very, very common. They're actually used in a variety of different salad dressings. And you go to your grocery store and some of them are cheaper than others. What I suggest you do is that if you are making dressing, kind of spend a little bit more money on a better quality olive oil and then leave the cheapy stuff for the cooking process, because here you're actually going to taste the olive oil a lot more than when you're making cooked foods. Okay, so I'm going to drizzle a little bit on here. Now, it is important to remember when you are watching your waistline, which most of us are, and so I put probably 2/3 to 1 tablespoon of olive oil in there. We're going to make a fairly big salad. For those of you who are watching your waistline, olive oil is good for your health, and we all know that. We're talking about the health benefits of olive oil. However, olive oil still has calories just like any other fat does. So have the olive oil, but make sure we always want to make sure that we portion size these types of fats. Even if they're good fats, we want to get them in our diet, but we want to get them in a responsible way if we're trying to lose weight. So we're going to put the olive oil to the side here, and I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to mix this around a little bit to incorporate all the seasonings. Okay, so there you have it. With this, I'm also going to sprinkle in some salt. Okay, sprinkle in some salt. I've got kind of a lot of salt in there. So what we're going to do, we're going to mix that around, and we're going to throw some wonderful colors in there, because what are we doing? We're colorful cooking today. So now, we're going to let that sit aside. So again, when you're making your dressing, you want to make it in the bowl, which saves you from dishes. You also want to make it first so it all marinates while you're chopping the rest of your salad. Okay? So here we go. What are we doing for our red? Our red color, we are doing cherry tomatoes. And I'm going to tell you something about these cherry tomatoes. I think they are beautiful in salads, and I am going to then cut them all in half because it makes for a lovely, lovely presentation, cherry tomatoes cut in half. So as we're cutting these cherry tomatoes, let's go over what we put in our dressing. We had garlic in our dressing, and we used fresh garlic, but again, you can use any type of garlic that you get in a jar, minced garlic at your grocery store. We have lemon juice, and we did fresh lemon juice from a lemon. Now you can get, lemon juice or lemons already juiced for you in jars, and even in those little plastic containers that are shaped like lemons and look like lemons, and they have lemon juice in them. But we used a fresh one today. And then we used a serrano pepper, and again, that's something that you can avoid if you are trying to avoid spice and can't really, your mouth rejects hot food. And then the next thing we used was apple cider vinegar, which can be used in a lot of different things, but we used it in our dressing today. And then we used olive oil. Again, a little bit more of an expensive olive oil for dressings is probably our best bet. And then salt, and if you want pepper, I didn't put pepper in there today, but if you want salt and pepper to taste, that's the best. So you definitely want to, it's always better to try these ingredients and put a little in first, and then you want to put in a lot, because you can't usually take it out, but you can add more. So here we go. We have these beautiful cherry tomatoes in here, and that is our red. So can kind of toss those in there. Now for our orange of our rainbow, because we're colorful cooking today, we are going to use a orange bell pepper. Okay. Now for me, most of the salads that I make, I like to make them more of a chopped salad that has smaller pieces in it, and the reason is I like tasting everything all in one bite, and sometimes when salads are too big, you get like one huge piece of lettuce in your mouth, and then you can't taste anything else. So we have orange for our bell pepper. Don't you love the summertime when we get all of these things and they're all cheaper than when they're out of season? And when you think about it, in-season vegetables are wonderful. Now, some of you might even have gardens, and for which I'm jealous. I do not have a green thumb. And you can just grab these things out of your garden. So we have an orange bell pepper here. That is going to be our orange. So we have red with the red tomatoes, and we have our orange with our bell pepper. Okay, so there's our orange, and we're going to dump that right into our bowl here. Again, we're colorful cooking. So we have our red cherry tomatoes, we have our orange bell pepper, and for yellow, like I said before, using bell peppers gets a lot of our colors in very easily. So we have yellow with our other yellow, or our other pepper. We get a yellow pepper. Now, it is summertime here in Southern California where our studio is, and when it's hot, we don't feel like cooking, do we? Because over a hot stove. And so this is actually a really great recipe in the fact that you don't have to do any stove cooking, because right here we are just doing it with some bowls and my favorite knife and my cutting board, and we have a meal that has all the colors in it, but also has some protein, because garbanzo beans have protein. And another great thing about garbanzo beans is they have fiber in it too. Okay, so we're going down the colors of the rainbow. So here we have our red cherry tomatoes, our orange bell pepper, our yellow bell pepper, and now we're going to get some herbs in here for our green. Now, our herbs that we're going to use today are mint and cilantro. Now, I love both of these ingredients. Okay, so here we go. Our cilantro leaves, and don't you love the smell of cilantro? So here we go. We're going to chop the cilantro up, and we're going to put it in our salad. Now, usually sometimes if you think about cilantro, you think about salsas, which that's another recipe that we could do in colorful cooking. And we are going to, but here we're going to actually use it with garbanzo beans and other colors. So I'm going to mix that up. And now the next ingredient is mint, and that might be something that you don't often put into salads, but it can actually be very delicious. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some mint in our salad, and mint is one of those wonderful things that is extremely fragrant in salads. So you can smell the cilantro and the mint very well. So we're going to throw that in the bowl here, and we're going to mix that around. Now, mint, if you ever plant mint, mint has a tendency to actually take over, which is actually good for those of us who don't have mint plants, and we can come to you for some mint. But another thing that a friend of mine does with her extra mint, because it does kind of spread and you have a lot of it, actually puts it in some water and puts it on the stove, and then to kind of fragrance the house with mint, with the smell of mint, which is also wonderful. Okay, so we have our cilantro, and then we have our mint in there. Now, another thing for green, what we're going to do is we are going to use some spinach. Now, a lot of salad recipes out there are going to actually use lettuce as their base or their green color. So what I like doing is I like mixing my greens or using greens like spinach in salads a little bit more, and the reason is they pack a more powerful punch than regular, ordinary lettuce. So here we have a whole bunch of spinach, and we're going to do a rough chop on this too to get our green. So if we look at what we are using in our green, we have our cilantro, we have our mint, and we have some spinach. Now with this recipe, I am actually mixing spinach with some romaine lettuce, okay? So let's get our romaine lettuce out. And it's important to also remember that all of the vegetables that I'm using today, or all of the colors, we'll call them colors, all the colors that I'm using today have already been washed. Like I washed them, and I washed them thoroughly. And it's really important to wash each of our ingredients, because what happens, and I'm going to stop chopping for a second and go over here, sometimes what people will do is they will take their lettuce head full like this and put it under their faucet and go like this, and then that is all they do. So we want to do a little bit more of a wash. Take the actual leaves off and wash each of the individual leaves. Okay, so we're going to get a chop on this. And again here, choose whatever lettuce you want. You could use a butter lettuce on this as well. Okay, but I decided to use romaine. You could use the curly red lettuce, whatever you have already on hand. Okay, so we have our colors are really shaping up here. So if we go to our colors, what did we use for our colorful cooking today? We used cherry tomatoes, we used orange pepper, we used yellow bell pepper, we used mint and cilantro, we used lettuce and spinach. Now for our purple and our blue-purple group. Our blue-purple group is going to be right here with our onion. We are going to use a red onion. And I always wonder about red and red onion, or red cabbage that they call it. It looks purple to me, so we're going to put this in our purple category. We're going to peel our onion here. Okay, so we have our purple, beautiful onion here. Now, if you do not like onion, don't feel like you have to put this in here. Or if you don't like onion, just cut a small piece of it and put whatever you think you can handle. Absolutely put it in the bowl. So here we go. We're going to cut this really small because I don't really like onion, a big piece of onion in my mouth, raw onions. I actually favor cooked onions a little bit more, but we're making a fresh salad here. So we definitely want to make it the way we like it. That's the best thing about cooking. You don't have to worry about not liking it because you're the one who cooked it, so you can do all the things that you like to do. Okay, so I'm going to cut this really fine, okay? And there is our blue and purple. So here we go. We're going to throw that in there, okay? Now, I'm going to mix this all up. And what did we use for our colorful cooking? We used our our red tomatoes, our red cherry tomatoes. We have orange pepper, we have yellow pepper, we have mint and cilantro. We have our spinach and our romaine lettuce, and we have a little bit of a purple onion. So now it's time for our star here is our garbanzo, or our chickpeas. So we are going to put this in and just dump that in, and we are going to now mix this whole thing up. Oh, the smells from the cilantro and the mint and the lemon juice, and actually the apple cider vinegar has a strong smell as well. So we are really, really, really smelling up the studio today. Okay, look at all of that nice and mixed up in our bowl. Okay, so let's review a little bit about what actually went into this wonderful looking bowl. Our dressing, we used garlic, we used lemon juice. Again, our garlic was fresh garlic, lemon juice, fresh lemon juice, our serrano pepper, our apple cider vinegar, our olive oil, and salt and pepper to taste. And then what we did was we had red tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, we had orange bell peppers, we had yellow bell peppers, we had, for our greens, we had a lot of things in our salad today for our greens. We have mint and cilantro, we have lettuce and spinach. And for our purple, we had red onion, and then at the very end, we added our chickpeas, and now we're going to just mix everything up. Okay, we're going to mix everything up. So now we're getting to the good part here, okay, with all these smells. I'm going to put this bowl aside, and I am going to plate this on a wonderful plate. So I'm going to get my towel here, and we're going to clean up our surface, okay, and get our plate and fork, because this is the best part of cooking, right, is eating. I think that's the why I actually like cooking. It's because I like eating, okay? So here we're going to plate this wonderful salad on this plate. Now, do you see all our colors? Now, when I get some of these red tomatoes or red cherry tomatoes in here, you'll see how cherry tomatoes can actually create a nice pop of color, okay? Ooh. Okay, now, salad should always be eaten in large amounts. Okay, we're going to put a whole bunch of salad on here. Okay, now, remember we're colorful cooking, so we always want to prepare and really use a lot of the ingredients that have as much color in them as possible. So the more colors we get on our plate, the better our food, or the more nutritious our food actually is. So are we ready to try this? Let's try this. My, this is a delicious, delicious salad. You have the bite or the tartness of the lemon and the apple cider vinegar. You also have that wonderful, wonderful punch of the cilantro and the mint. So, oh, all of these flavors melded in together, and their garbanzo beans add something special. This is a wonderful, wonderful salad, and you saw how easy this is to make. Now, all of these things, again, have all the colors of the rainbow. Now, that is what we are all trying to do here in our show. We are trying to colorful cook. So that means using all the colors of the rainbow to get a healthy, strong body. So, and who says that eating healthy has to be boring and bland? That is not the case, because when you colorful cook, you always have wonderful, 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 wonderful meals, because you're eating not only with taste, but with your eyes as well. So I hope you enjoyed our program today, and I'm Dr. Olivia Moses, and please join me again for some more colorful cooking.